I put up a poll the other day about which pattern you guys wanted to see me use in all solids. So I did an all solid pull while I was up at Grant House sewing in vacuum. And so it's batiks. And I decided I was going to do all solids, but I also decided that I was going to do it monochromatic. So I just happened to be on the Prequilt site, and I hope you guys already know about this. If not, welcome to Prequilt. This is the marketplace. And Fabric Cafe has joined Prequilt, which I am super, super, super excited about. And it just so turns out that this quilt right here, Interlock, is one of the quilts that it's actually the quilt that has gotten the highest number of votes. So I'm actually going to get a chance to play with this. Okay, I'm excited because I'm going to get a chance to see what this looks like before I actually do it. Now this is going to be a super simple colorway. I'm just using 3 colors and they are all solid. So I am going to go to, and I'm going to add this in the lightest one. We're going to do a light green. We're going to do parrot. For the black, I'm going to edit that and put in a dark pesto. And then for my fabric here, we are going to put in a solid. And we're going to click a grasshopper. And bam, that's what this quilt should look like when I finish. The colors might vary a little bit because I'm using some brand new batiks by I think it's Islands Fabrics. Islands Fabrics. I'll tell you guys when I get ready to actually do the quilt. But this is what it's going to look like. I am very, very excited about it. This is a good fabric pull. Yeah, I love this tool. If you guys are not using this tool, you should be. I just love it. What's up, guys? I went to Grant House. That is going to be my new spot. One of them, anyway. And I bought a bunch of thread, and I don't know why. Have no idea what project that was for. Just bought a bunch of it. Cannot remember what I was doing. But nobody cares because this is what we're after. Wasn't I looking for this? Like, I don't know. I was super looking for this. Why? Ugh, whatever. I am a mess, apparently. Oh, I know why I needed that. Don't worry, that's happening. This is the important stuff right here. Look at this. Oh, I told you guys earlier this year that I think green was going to be all the rage this year for quilts. And we'll see if I was right when we go to some more shows later on this year. But right now, I want you guys to know that these are the batiks. This is a dyed fabric. People love, love, love batiks. And so I decided that I was going to do a solids quilt. I was asked to do a quilt in all solids. I'm going to do it. We're doing it in batiks, which you guys seem to love. And I'm doing the pattern that you guys asked for from the Make It Modern book. And it just so happens to be that quilt. Let's do it. I was debating which one I wanted to go where, but the only one that I really cared about is this 3 here. So as I'm looking at the pattern, I am going to just make this my fabric number 2 and this one my fabric number 1 and be done with it and let things fall where they may. There is a lot of cutting on this one. This is a lot of seams. This is a lot of work, which I get it. That's probably why you guys wanted me to do this one. Usually I can do a 3-yard quilt in a day, sometimes 2 days. This one here might take me a little longer. I'll let you know. I don't think I've ever had to do this for a 3-yard quilt, but because there are so many strips and pieces and blocks and there's a lot happening with this particular pattern, which again, I see why you guys wanted me to walk through this one. I have these. I think they are incredibly expensive, but I got them on sale. They are pins that have the letters and numbers on them, and they come in a heart, and you can open both sides of these guys, and and you can actually take it apart, I believe, but I'm going to have to use these for this. And of course, you can just write a piece of paper and stick a pen or use a Wonder Clip just to put some paper to it. But I need this to make sense. So I'm going to go on ahead and label things as I cut them for the strip assemblies, because there are going to be some strip assemblies, but we're just going to make it make sense. We're going to make this make sense. All right. So if you were looking for a quilt that is a little bit more challenging, or just one that has some serious sewing, check into this one. It's Interlock. It is serious business. And I'm really happy that I have labeled this, because otherwise I just don't think I could, I just don't think I could be super organized. So everything is cut out. You do not have a lot of leftover fabric, so you want to be as accurate as possible. This quilt requires accuracy. Now I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to grab the first step. I think it's Unit A. So I'm going to grab everything with an A. There it is. Here's A. And I've got some clipped to it and just a pin in there. And we're going to start there. And we will just work our way slowly. Very, very slowly, because it's going to be a lot of sewing happening here. All right, we got everything cut out, which was, you know, what it was. And we've got our A here. So I'm just going to take it. And, you know, we're going to strip assembly this like we always do. We're going to take a fabric 1 and a fabric 2, and we're going to sew them together on the long edges. All right, let's get to it. And you're going to do this 2 times. So that's 1 and then 2, and then we are going to subcut it down as usual, and then we'll put that to the side. That's not difficult yet, right? It does seem like a lot though. And then we are going to put the pin back on them and mark them as Unit A. I think it's Unit A. Yep, then we're going to put that to the side as Unit A. Again, labeling is going to be your key for this, because this one here is kind of tricky. I'm going to press these this way, and we're going to press the seams towards fabric number 1, because the next thing that we're going to do, we are going to press it towards the darker fabric, just so that it'll nest. You guys know I prefer nesting, and sometimes I run into issues because all their instructions say to just press everything open, but my preference is to nest when I know I can. So I'm going to press this just like this with the fabric behind fabric number 1, and then we'll start subcutting this down. So we just finished chopping up our A, and so I said we were going to put that to the side, and we were going to tag that as A. Okay, put that to the side. Now I grabbed B. B is a fabric 3 and a fabric 2, I believe. Yep, it's a 3 and a 2, and we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to cut it with different dimensions. Again, stay organized for this one, guys. If you guys saw all these strips that I have behind me and they all look the same, and the dimensions and all the things, it's a lot. I love the way that these two look together. It makes me want to do my makeup. Green was one of my favorite colors of eyeshadow to wear and to do. That's a fun fact. All right, let's sew down this side, and then we will subcut this. So that was nice and easy. And for this one, I'm going to face it this direction, and we're going to press this way. Let's press it that way. So here's where it starts to get interesting. Not all the way, but a little bit. We're going to take our A's, and we're going to take all these B's that we just did, and we're going to put them together on the left-hand side. You guys know I always tell you be careful, because when you start moving these things to the right-hand side and all that kind of stuff, you get different, get a different quilt. Okay, this looks like something. I can see it. So I'm just going to put this way. My seams should nest because they went in different directions. Yay, they do. And I am just going to sew along this side really quickly. All right, I just sewed my little buddy. Yep, that looks really good. And now I'm just going to press it. Now it really does not matter which direction I press this. So I could press it open, I could press it just, you know, press the seam. And do that 24 times. So after you finish getting all of these pieces, you're going to look for C as in cat. And here's my C, which is just a bunch of threes that have all been cut, fabric threes. And then you're going to do something that I don't always love doing, but we're going to do it. And we are just going to sew this onto the bottom and then trim it even. So let's do that right now. So I put that on just like that. And now we are going to trim this even. And give it a little press. We're going to press this back. I'm going to hit it with some heat. I'll be right back. Okay, that looks good. And then we're going to take this and sew this the same way to the right after we've pressed this back. So let's just put this on. You guys probably know this by now, but I like to always sew with no seams on the sewing machine. So I'm going to flip that like that and take this to the sewing machine. That was fast. And now we are just going to cut this even. And we will press this back the same way that we did the other. So there we are. This is our completed unit C as in cat. And we're going to make 24 of those and then we'll be good. So I'm going to do all of these and I'll be right back. So step 1 yielded us these. Now with this one here, I don't know, somewhere I got a little turned around, and some of these, this is sewn together on this side, but then there are some where the long one is sewn together on the bottom, but because it's a square, I'll be fine. But if you are caring about something like that, be sure to make sure that you start sewing them all in the same place. It's not going to matter, it's a square. They're all identical except for the, identical in theory and color-wise, color scheme. We're fine. Moving on. Again, this is going to be just a little more in-depth than our usual. Not a problem. We've got this. Let's move on to step 2. All right, so I went hunting and I found everything for strip assembly D. I'm so thankful that I did this. It is just making all the difference in what we're doing. And we are going to do this one, which is nice because it's not as involved as that first block. That first block was a doozy. There was a lot of pieces to sew. This one's a little less. So we're going to do like we know to do, and we're going to take these the partial strip, we're going to put that to the side, full strip, and then we should have a partial strip that'll go with this guy and 2 full strips, and we're just going to sew down the long edge like we know to do, like we did with the other one. I'm going to take this, line it up, and sew down. These have all been sewn and pressed. I wasn't worried about which direction I pressed it. I just laid it on there, flipped it up, and pressed it. So not worried about anything lining up. If I run into some issues, you guys know I'll let you know. Now it's time to subcut these guys here. So I'm going to freshen up this edge. And now we are going to subcut this a bunch of times until we get 24 of these little guys. So I am just subcutting. You can stack these up if you'd like. I've seen people do it and they get wonderful results, but I've met myself before, so we are just going to omit doing that. We're just going to omit that and take our time and cut, cut, cut. So I think these are cute. Cute little guys here. Now I'm going to take this and I am going to take a strip and we are just going to sew this down to the right. But you know me, I'm going to flip it like this and sew it so that there are no seams on the bed of my sewing machine. And I'm going to do that to all of these and just cut it down the same way we did before. So I just sewed down that side and we are going to take our and just cut it even. And then I'm just going to press this back. I've given that a little press and this is what we have. So I'm going to do that 24 more times and then we'll come back and put this 4-patch together. All right, so we have our stack of these guys and these guys. Now we are going to do a 4-patch. So I'm going to put small square up there and small square down there. Then we're going to put an L on top there and we're going to flip that around just like this so they are opposites. All right. And we are going to sew these together and then sew them together this way. And I believe that will make our first block. And this quilt is comprised of 2. And the other one is similar, but you know, not. In the instructions, it has you put this together, this one and this one, and you just do a bunch of this set. And then when you're finished, you will take this set and you will leave this here. And let's just say this is this one. So they are lined up exactly the same. You'll take this set and just rotate it, which might be easier and keep you from getting confused, is just make all of these just like this and then you get the opposite of that, which is possible too. Either way, however you feel most comfortable, if you just want to lay out your block so you can see it, or if you just want to make a bunch of these, which is possibly easier, and then just flip it around. Up to you. The world is your oyster. So I chose to do it their way, and I just stacked them just to try to keep it consistent. Otherwise, I think I was going to get a little turned around because I managed to move from here to literally right here and still turn them around. So I thought, nah, let's just be safe. So I'm cutting them all apart because I chain pieced them, which made it go so much faster. And now I'm just going to open these up and I'm going to give them a press open. Because of the way that the block is going to sit, and then the next, you know, the ones down below it, I just don't want to have to be worried about the seams. So from this point forward, that's not true, but for this next step, I'm going to press them open until I get the blocks ready to go, and then I will press those to a direction because it'll be very easy to figure out which direction to press them toward. But right now we're going to press these open, like I said, which is not my favorite thing to do, but we're doing it. So I'm just grabbing my little wood iron, and this just makes it a lot faster for when I get over to the ironing board to be able to just hit it with the iron. So I ended up just doing it the way that they said, stacked, and now all I have to do is take half of them and just flip them around. So I'm going to just show you really quickly how I do this. I just flip it around and put them together. And I just put one pin right here to make sure that it's gonna look good. And then I take it over to the sewing machine and sew down this side. Okay, so now we're moving on to F. So basically we're doing the same thing in a different colorway, just on the opposite side. Nothing new here. I'm throwing out the F, and it looks like there are 2 of these strips and 2 of these strips. We are going to sew them together on the long side. So now we have our strips that we've just sewn, and we're going to do the same thing that we did before. This is actually going to go on this side. We're going to do this and this. Match those up. Put them together and sew it. I could see why I probably would have pressed these in opposite directions so that they nest. I forgot about that part. I think we'll be okay. Or I can just make it nest, huh? It's not gonna hurt anything. Let's just flip you down. And when I press it, I can correct it there. This feels funny. What's happening? There we go. Yeah, we'll just make it go the other direction. It'll be okay. So when you're doing your next set of 2, press them in opposite directions just so that they nest, because I can see in my other one, I have beautiful nesting seams right here, and they come together beautifully. So I think that would be a good move. So these little guys are done. And now we need to make them look like the other ones. And so you guys, once again, I know I keep stressing that about this pattern, but this one is labeled H because it is going to be all the strips that we need for this unit, which will be called an H unit once we're done. And just like the other one, I need to sew it on the bottom first. So I've got them all stacked up so that I don't get confused and sew it on this side. I'm going to be sure to just leave them like this, and we're going to sew the bottom, sew it onto the bottom, and then we will trim it and set it to the side. I won't be chaining this one. This is just sew it to the bottom and go on from there, and then trim it and then go on. So we've got it all sewn on that side there. And we're just going to trim it off even. And then we are going to press it back. And that will be that next step. So we have this block here all done. We sewed the bottom on, then we sewed this side one on, and I think this time I got them all in the right direction, which makes me happy. So now we're moving on to I. We are making progress, but a lot of steps in this one. And then we're going to do the same thing that we've done before over and over again. We are going to sew one of these short strips, and there is a partial in here onto the long strips, and then press it. And this one for sure does not matter which direction you press it, because then you're just going to put a strip on the side of this. All right, I've got them all subcut time. So we're going to take this. This is such a, I'm not going to say it's confusing, but I absolutely see why you guys wanted me to do this one, because, again, not confusing, but when I'm like, wait, what color is which, and what am I doing? I get it. It's a doozy, but I can't wait to see how it comes together with these blocks, because the way that it looks and the way that it comes together, very different. Very, very different. Now we're just going to cut this down and go from there. So now we are going to grab our letter J, And J is going to go on the side of this block on the right hand side. So I'm going to cut off the selvage like I did before. And then we are just going to put that right on that side. And I'm going to match that up like that and then just sew down the side and snip this off even. So I have sewn it down. We are going to grab this guy here and I'm going to press it back, and that's going to be my block. Have these all done the way that we said we were going to do them. They look great. And now we are just going to take them and do some rotations. So we've got this guy here with this block in the top left. Rotate it and put it just like this and sew these together. I am going to, and I pressed that open, that seam open. So I'm just gonna find the center there and pin it right there and then sew it down. So now I have sewn down that side. Perfect. And then we will open her up. And I'm actually going to press this seam open also. That has got to be opened. And then we will go from there. So now that we have pressed that seam open too, of course I'm going to do that to all of those until we get to here. So there we have it. I have no idea how these are going to go together at all, but this is the difference between the two blocks. So let me finish sewing all of these blocks together, and then we'll see how the pattern comes together and makes the secondary pattern. All right, so now we have our two blocks. Great. This block right here is A, and this one here is B. And for me, it looks like we're starting with block B, and you're gonna alternate. Now, the thing that I am watching is this little box right here, and they're going to match up opposite. So I'm gonna lay this out. This quilt is something else, I tell you. This is not for the faint of heart. So I thought it was just going to be nice and simple to put together, and you know, I guess it is if you go slow. But let me show you row one, and I'm definitely going to have to show you each row because it's not quite as simple as I thought it was going to be. So we've got block up here for this first block. Then the two blocks are going to meet for this second set right here, and then we're going to throw this on the outside. Again, I'm really just paying attention to where this block lands. And then I can see in the secondary design, we have the darkest color connecting here, and that is what's going to make this all come together. This is going to be fun. And luckily, I've done these seams open because we are going to have to do some matching here. Great. Saw that going differently. So as usual, just I feel like I'm always pressing seams a direction because I didn't think things were going to come together. But it would probably behoove you to just press everything open. Oh, all right, let me get to going. I am easily struggling with this, so I've grabbed 2 Post-it notes and I have blocked off the schematic here so that I can see exactly how these blocks are supposed to go, because this one is absolutely tricky. Okay, so row 2 has block A, corners. Then block B, corners here. Block A, corners here. Block B, corners there. And then we're gonna sew this all together, and I'm gonna attach this to this, and then we'll start on the next row. Going ahead and feel free to pause if you need to rotate and flip them around. I understand because I am struggling over here. So it's all sewn together, these two rows. You are going to have to pin like the dickens, and again, press all your seams open. Just do it because it is getting challenging. So we're on 3, and we are going to make this box right here. If you are looking at the pattern, don't be confused by this. This is the way this one is supposed to go. So we've got the blocks in either corner there. Then we're going to rotate. Then we're going to have them here. We're going to complete this box in the center there. And then we're going to come and we're going to have the darker ones on the outside here. Yeah, this is no joke here, but I can see it starting to do things. So let's keep going. All right, we are on row 4. We've got our marks here. We're going to complete these boxes. You see that box there? So then we've got the 2 matching here and the 2 matching here. Okay, no problem. And we will just keep it going. Again, this is row 4. So it is taking me all the way to this row where I feel like I'm just able to see it now. So we've got the blocks in the corners here and matching here. So all this comes together. That's going to make that box. We've got these here and these here. This is row 5. I can see the pattern a little easier now. I feel a little less cray-cray. So we have finally made it to this last row right here. And again, I can see the pattern clear as day now. And so we've got the 2 dark spots here, 2 dark spots here forming this. Then we have the 2 dark spots here and the 2 dark spots there forming this square. And then we can throw some borders on this bad boy. I cannot believe how long this has taken me, but I can't wait to see it once it's completed and I can step back and look at this pattern. We worked for this pattern, but I think it's going to look really cool. I don't know if I told you guys this, but because these are all meeting up, we are pinning at every intersection to make this design work. And it would be best if all these seams were pressed open. All mine are not, but I'm making it work. So I suggest you do the same. Okay, so now that the quilt is finished, the innards of it are finished, I'm just going to take these and sew these all together end to end. I'm going to chop off the selvage. You can barely even tell where this selvage is on these. Like barely tell. But I'm going to chop them off, sew it end to end, and then I'm going to sew a strip on the long sides, and then I'm going to go across the top. And that will be the first border. And then they do something funky on this one, which I like. Something a little different. On the outside, they do two different borders, and I'm like, huh, that's pretty cool. So next we have the rest of the border. So as of right now, the border is on the top and the sides, and it's all just one color. It's just the first border. The next border, one side is going to be one color, the other side is going to be another. And we're going to do the same thing with these that we just did with the other ones. We're just going to trim off the bottom, sew them end to end, and then just sew them on one side and be done. We can stick a fork in this quilt top. This quilt top has kicked my butt every which way. which is why you guys are getting it late, because I still hadn't finished it. Oh my goodness. All right, let's do it. So next we have the rest of the border. So as of right now, the border is on the top and the sides, and it's all just one color. It's just the first border. The next border, one side is going to be one color, the other side is going to be another. And we're going to do the same thing with these that we just did with the other ones. We're just going to trim off the bottom, sew them end to end, and then just sew them on one side and be done. We can stick a fork in this quilt top. This quilt top has kicked my butt every which way, which is why you guys are getting it late, because I still hadn't finished it. Oh my goodness. All right, let's do it. All right, this is finished. It was probably the most challenging 3-yard quilt. It's absolutely the most challenging 3-yard quilt I've ever done. Lots of pieces, lots of sewing. So if you're in the mood to sew, like really sew, this is for you. We have this inside border here that's all the same color. And then, like I said, on the outside, you have a different color here and a different color there. All in all, I think it came out pretty good. It needs a good press and some quilting. I'm going to go ahead and take some pictures and upload this video very, very quickly for y'all. Be sure to stay tuned to my channel if you've ever been curious about Missouri Star. I'm on my way there next week. I will be there for the week. Let me know if there are things that I need to do at Missouri. Let me know what you're looking forward to. Let me know what stores you guys want to see, blah, 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 blah. I'll be going live though, so you'll see. I'm definitely not going to leave you guys out. But I hope you'd enjoy this one. This was a doozy. And I will check back with you guys very, very soon.